people be like, well, you gotta get out there. You gotta put yourself out there. Like, I'm not the one to be, I don't shame anybody for it, but I just know preferably they're not for me. Like, online dating, I'm like, Lord, we gotta meet in person. Like, you just gonna have to bring us together.
Look, I'm gonna be honest and open. I just deleted my dating app like a couple weeks ago. A
Really?
week ago. But I haven't opened it in months.
God's grace shining on our face today, growing in His word each and every way. Here, morning rays of grace.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Morning Rays of Grace. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, be sure to rate and review. And you can share that too. Okay, guys, now I know some of you, if not all of you, all of us have gone through some type of breakup or heartbreak in our lives. And especially with the holiday season coming up, we're probably feeling type of lonely if we're single or really still missing that person that we once used to be in a relationship with. And that is what we are going to be talking about today as I talk with a dear friend, Sade Moore, about grace, God's grace in heartbreak. This is one of my co-leads in a community group at our church. She is a daughter. She is a woman of God. She is a sister. She's an auntie. She is pursuing a career in real estate. And honey, she is single. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation that we have about God's grace and heartbreak. Sade, thank you so much for being here today on One Rays of Grace.
Thank you, Angelica, for having me. Excited.
Absolutely. I know that, a lot of people or have been or even actually currently in relationships and going through heartbreaks and breakups and things like that. So I'm grateful that you are able to come on and share your story. So I just want to start by asking you about your past relationship. How long were you guys together? How long ago was this, and what type of relationship was this? How was you guys' relationship?
Sure. So, me personally, my relationship was kind of off and on for about 2 years. But we had known each other um like 1 year prior, but the actual relationship was about 2 years off and on. Started out dating, and then we decided to become official. And so even after the breakup, we kind of still kept in contact, I would say, up until maybe like 3 years ago. So it was kind of like with it being like that, so much up and down, off and on, just in and out. I think it prolonged the process of
Mm-hmm.
healing. So it's like even though it's like, oh, we've been like not talking to each other or whatever, not dealing with each other. For me, I think I still had that emotional attachment, even though it wasn't anything like official or commitment wise, even after the fact. But starting out, the relationship was fun, exciting. I felt like it was my first real adult relationship outside
Yeah.
of like, high school. I was like, do we really still count those? But um,
No, I mean you
right.
can kind of
Like, yeah, of course you
relationship.
dated before. You had like, oh, this is my first boyfriend. Oh, I got a crush. But like actual relationship, that was my
Yeah,
first one. Yeah.
that's good. So you said it was like off and on, like for 2 years, like kind of waving through the waters and things like
Yeah,
that.
it was. And I think that kind of should have been the, what did they call it, the telltale or whatever.
The
Um,
like the red flags and
yeah,
stuff
that
like
should have
that
been,
of the
that
whole
should have been
relationship.
it to tell me like, something ain't right. But, um, like I can't put all the blame on the other person. You know, it takes
Yeah.
people to be in a relationship, but I think for me, I kind of still stayed in it because of the love. And then I had to learn like love is not always enough. And it took me a while, like even through the process to kind of accept that love wasn't enough. But I think with it being kind of inconsistent, that should have been my like sign right there. Like, okay, Lord, but still, but he coming back, and we're gonna try it again, and just
All
should
over the
the first
place.
time, all over the place, all over the place, to be honest. But yeah, it was kind of up and down. I think it was pretty solid that first year. Uh,
Hmm.
everything was still exciting, everything was still fresh and new. Um, and then it's like once you hit that first wall, it's kind of like maybe 6 months, close to 6 months in. Let's see, kind of around there, like our first real um disagreement or argument or like problem in the relationship, where I thought we were broken up, but we kind of weren't broken up, but it was kind of like a break. Um, and then we were able to get past that, and then got to the year mark, like, woo, we made it 1 year. And then,
On a thread.
or right, fast forward to like the beginning of the following year, and that's when things kind of like we officially like broke up for a while, up until like a few months later.
And got back together.
Yeah, so I think it was just an unhealthy cycle, just not realizing it at first and thinking like, well, this person is my person, and like just telling yourself all the little things to try to justify like, well, I
Yeah.
can either I'm not gonna find a perfect person, or I might can just sacrifice or, tolerate these certain things. But
Mm.
nobody's perfect, and it's like, okay, well,
Settling. So you
yeah,
were settling.
like, exactly. But in your mind, like when you're in a situation, it's like you're rationalizing, like you're trying to think like, well, yeah, they have this going on, but I could get somebody and they could be, you know, have something way worse. Like they could be abusive, but this person, they're just kind of, a little inconsistent, or, you know, have commitment issues, or just not as stable. But this, I could get with somebody else and then they could cheat on me, or, just stuff like that. You try to, I
Rush.
guess,
Make it look nice. Put
to
a
make it,
nice little bow on
mm,
it.
like,
Like,
I'm not gonna find nobody perfect. There's no
yeah,
perfect.
exactly. But
But
and that's the
there's
thing, like,
there's something better though.
yeah, and there is definitely a difference between settling, like making it look pretty, like let me just settle
Hmm.
versus like really knowing your worth. Like, man, if I actually knew that I was worth more than what I'm settling for, then I
Hmm.
would not settle for what is going on, because there is so much. It's a limited mentality. It's like this stuck mentality. No, there is a vast men
Yeah.
of God out there, and God has
Hmm.
one specifically picked out for you. So before we get down this rabbit
Yeah.
hole, because I
Come
can go on,
on. Man of
because I
God
can
on the
go
way.
on. What I want to know, like, what were some of the downfalls in the relationships? Like, what are some things that like literally occurred? Was it infidelity? Was it just, we're not on the same page? Was it disagreements, arguments, money? You just never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like with this question too, like I know specific moments when things were going on, but I feel like in the moment I just felt so blindsided and confused, like because I was even trying to figure that out, like what's wrong, like because I think with the person that I was in a relationship with, it was just like up and down, hot and cold, like you would just never really know what would trigger them to, feel like, oh, well, I don't want to be accountable, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore, or I feel like honestly, the main problems were poor communication. I think distance played a role in it, because we were like in the same city, and then I moved. it became like a long distance thing. So I definitely feel like
Yeah.
that played a role in it, and it makes you think like, well, is it just a matter of, you know, not being there? Does the distance play a role? And then the poor communication, and it's kind of like, you know, little things like that, I think starts to weigh on a relationship and weigh on a person. And it's like you're not around each other all the time. So it's like if it's not already on a solid foundation, it's gonna crumble. And I was recently, I know this past week, my pastor, Pastor Travis from Fort City, our pastor, um, he he's doing this series on like miracle junkies, and he was talking about love and just kind of going over the different types of love, like Eros love, the attraction, and how love can be seasonal. And then I think
Right.
one of them really spoke to me. He was saying how, you know, if you think of fall, like the fall season, you fall in and out of love, like it's just not consistent, you know, and you may be attracted to the external, but once you get to the internal of a person, like there's something there that is just causing them to always have these moments of transition, just like an
Mm,
emotional decision maker type of person. And I feel like that was kind of similar to what I was going through, just kind of like an instability in a sense,
yeah.
not knowing when a person is gonna want to stay or go. And
Mm,
even if it's not something that you necessarily did, it's just something that maybe they're dealing with internally.
yeah.
But you can't always see it and you can't really explain it. You don't know why. And it's like you're just on the other end of that. And it's a tough place to be because you care about the person, you love the person, but you don't want to feel like you're being strung along or you're just waiting to see like is something else
Yeah.
gonna change. Like you
Yeah.
literally like in the blink of an eye, you don't know. Like things could be going fine, and it's just like, oh well, I just feel like, just for example, the person feels like they're not where they want to be in life, or you know, maybe they can't really put as much effort into the relationship, or they interests might change. Like you don't know, and it's like you try to figure out like, well, why? Why can't you still manage your relationship and
Yeah.
manage like the everyday, you know, things that we are all striving to do. Like, why can't it be both? That was really mainly the downfalls. It's just the person was feeling like, I guess, just in a bad place in their own personal life. And
Yeah.
then it had an effect on the relationship. But I also think it was other things with them internally that was also leading to that. So it's just a lot of inconsistencies, poor communication, you know, and just that accountability piece. And it's like even if I would ask, I couldn't always really get a clear answer as
Yeah.
to why. So I think that really left me in a bad space because I felt helpless. Like I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't make
Mm-hmm.
somebody want to be with me or make somebody love me or make somebody um treat me right
Yeah.
or stay. And that was tough. But then 2 months later, and the person is coming back, and it's like the cycle continues.
Yeah, a whole cycle.
Oh,
And it's funny that you mentioned that even about the fall,
yeah.
weather, like Pastor Travis was talking about, and always in transition. It's crazy because
Hmm.
I'm just thinking about my own stuff right now because it sounds familiar
Yeah.
as to what I'm talking about to my therapist in this season because I'm like, I know there are still some things that I need to work out before husband come because and I literally told her I was like this is like how I'm feeling and I know if I get married to tomorrow I don't want the trauma of these
Yeah.
feelings of having to feel like it's not going to work or I'm always
Hmm.
transitioning into something I want to make sure that my husband and me like I'm going to be in it for the long haul and all
Hmm.
of our external seasons changing, but
Yeah.
internally, like
Internally, you're
our heart
still like,
is like, and I think it goes back to what you were saying too, it not being on like a good foundation. I think you have
yeah.
to have like even friendships, relationships, it all has to be on that solid foundation. And if it's
Mhm.
not founded, and we know what the solid foundation is, it's
Oh
the Lord,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And if it is not put together by Jesus, then of course it's going
You gonna try to make it fit. You can't force it. You
you
cannot force it.
can't. So do
It's
you
not
think
gonna
that was
work.
one of the reasons that it didn't work out? Do you think that this wasn't a God, something that God put together?
Um, Looking back, I would probably say no, it wasn't. But in the moment, I felt like, oh, this person is checking off this, checking off that.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it was more so like just exciting, fun, passionate, it was like new love. I won't say that the feelings weren't real. I know for me they were, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it was the right time or the right person, and not saying it, the person was a bad person. It
Yeah.
may not have been the right person for me, but I think the feelings, everything was true, but I just feel like it wasn't the healthiest. Like we weren't the best for each other in that time. So I don't know. I think that's a very unique question because you feel like, well, I don't think I picked the wrong person. But it's like, well, did God pick that person for me? And then you start thinking, and it's like, well, but now that you say that, and then you see all the things that transpired over the course of the relationship, and knowing that,
Yeah.
well, I know that, that's not something God would have wanted me to endure, and hence while it didn't make it, but in the moment, it's like, well, God, I really care about this person,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they were made for me, and we got this in common and that in common, and I'm attracted to them, and they're funny, they make me laugh, they make me feel good, but it's like, are they good for you?
That
And
part.
so when you look back on it, you kind of see that, but in the moment, it's just like, this is my person. I love this man.
Right. But it's like, man, and I'm not saying this relationship was superficial, but I do
Mhm.
know a lot of times, things like that,
Mhm.
it's like this surface level type of love. Like
Yeah,
you said, is this person good for me? That's the deep stuff.
yeah.
That's the stuff that really counts, that really matters, that really sustain. Am I really connected to God like I'm supposed to be? Is he really connected to God like he's supposed to be? Are we both
Girl,
together like God? So that, and you shaking your head, that is just the perfect example of that wasn't it. And I have I'm definitely going to share this on my podcast one day because I have a story like that where, college sweetheart type thing. Honey, we did it wrong. You hear me? We lived together, all this stuff, shacking up. We did not do it God's way, let me tell you. And,
all been there at some point, some kind of way, shape, or form.
we did not do it God's way. And I think God honors, when we do things his way. But also, it was just like my come to Jesus moment. I didn't have that until years later. And God was just like, I didn't give you that relationship. Like that did not come from me. And it grieved
You
my
did that.
exactly. And it grieved my heart because I grieved the Holy Spirit. And that moment is what freed me really. Is really when we come to that moment to know, like, man, yeah, I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
Man, I miss the good parts of this person and what we
Mhm.
had, but the bad parts was too bad for us to last and sustain and
Yeah.
really have a God filled relationship, because that's what it's all about. Marriage implements the beauty of Christ in the church and God. So even in the heartbreak, the breakup, How did you feel? Like, what were your thoughts? What were some of your emotions and feelings during that time of, when you finally said enough is enough? Like, this is it. I'm not going back. We're not going to talk anymore. Is that when your healing process started? And what did that look like for you to be in that dark place?
They don't call it a dark place for no reason. Like it was dark, no light. Everything just felt bad. Um, because I think for me, it was just feelings of like loneliness, being alone, being betrayed by somebody that I, really cared for very deeply, and then just feeling like abandoned. And all those things kind of just start piling on top of each other. It's like one emotion comes with another. And just
Mm,
all negative emotions like disappointment, feeling rejected, kind of lost and confused and just numb. Like some moments you have a feeling of numbness, emptiness. It's just like all bad, all bad. And
yeah.
I'm like, Lord, you're the only one that's gonna be able to help me through this. And I think it was frustration too, because it's like, why would I even, still allow this person to, make me feel like this? And,
Mm.
I don't want to give them that power over me. And then you get frustrated, you go through the motions, and then it's like you over here going through it, and they done moved on. And you're just like, well,
Or so you think. We be thinking that.
relationship. But then you start to see, up, that person gone, up, here go another one, up, that person gone, up, here go another one. And then you're like, okay, Lord, well, I know it wasn't me. Clearly, it's something
The
like
cycle.
some
It's
type
his cycle.
type of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I think you go through those phases and you start to realize, like, well, God reveals certain things to you, and it brings you back, but the initial like damage of it is very hurtful, and it just takes a lot of prayer, a lot of talking. Like I talk a lot to my mom and my sister, like we're so close,
Mm-hmm.
and they really helped me through it, prayed me through it. But it was just like some days it was just, you know, I just was not okay, and I was just over it, like just frustrated. I hated feeling like that. I hated being in such a negative place. And it's like, how can I like allow somebody to bring me this low? But that was the initial feelings of it. And I felt like it took me forever to heal. I was like, God, Lord, I'm still, and it's different like phases of healing. Like even though you get over the
Mm-hmm.
emotional aspects of it, um, it's kind of like you still have to do the detachment, like just being attached to a person. And I felt like I was just so consumed with the relationship and just pouring into the relationship and then expecting so much from it. And then with it not going the way I wanted to, I just was at a place of like, well, now I got to find myself and that same happiness I'm looking for in this relationship. Like I have to find that within me and in God.
Yeah.
And I did the reflection and, looking back, and it's like, well, why did I even feel that way? Like what voids was I trying to feel? What past traumas were I trying to, either cover up or, work through within that? Or like, what is it in me, God? Could like hold me accountable because it wasn't just on the other person. Like it takes two, like I said, to be in a relationship. So it's like, what
Yeah.
part did I play in it? Why did I allow certain things? And then also, why did I just kind of neglect myself or my self worth in certain situations? So it was just a lot of, you know, self work that I had to do following the relationship after all of those negative things that I felt. And, also just try not to blame myself and try not to
Yeah.
compare or, feel like I wasn't good enough because you
Yep.
can sometimes feel like that too because you just trying to figure out like, or make it make sense. Like what happened? Why
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't just be together? Why was love not enough? And you learn like love is not enough, sis. Like open your eyes, get past all of that, those happy feelings, the love, the warmth, and let's see it for really what it is.
But I even want to challenge if it was like true love though, because it sounds like even, with everything that happened, you started kind of blaming yourself and things like that, started feeling down. Of course, that's easy to go to, like, is like, why did I do this? Da, 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 da. And that's with anything, even outside of relationships. But even the fact to stay, like, is where do we draw the line on love and staying with someone
Actually,
that has a lot of trauma, and it's almost, I'm not saying I don't know really your relationship, but like even abuse or something, we think that may be love, and they're kind of abusing us emotionally or taking us for granted and stuff like that.
right.
Is it love for us to stay and endure that until they just come to their senses one day, and probably aren't even willing to, seek guidance or go to a pastor or a therapist or someone to get internal healing, or even to Jesus at that, even at that. It's like, man, because even in the relationship that I was talking about, I thought I loved this guy, but I did not, because I didn't even have love for God. And I don't know if you were saved at that time, but at the time I was not when I was in this relationship. But I didn't even have love for God, so let alone love for myself to continue to endure all these things and go back and forth with this person. I found out that that's love, Angelica. That was not love, at least on my part, and definitely not on his. But it's just like, man, we have to come to the place like what you did, like, I'm not going back, I'm not gonna keep playing these cycles with you, but
Mm,
also, man, I need to go to God and be healed and not be so hard on myself. I do think that so many women are so hard on themselves when they realize that they stuck to a relationship so much longer than they should have, and
yeah.
have all of that shame and guilt, like you were saying, like, why did I let him do this, why did I stay in this so long?
Mhm.
And it grieves me, because we really don't we didn't know, like, we didn't understand. But the thing is, like, man, you see the light now you know better, now it's time to do better.
Yeah.
So even with all that said, it's just like, man, is this real love? And
Exactly.
am I now at a place to, like, love truly and love me and God the way
Mhm.
that we should be loved?
Very true. And it goes back to like just it's not always about what we want, but what we need. And sometimes we just gotta kind of put all the other stuff to the side and just really focus in on ourselves. And I think that's the place that it led me into. And yes, like you were saying, going back to what you asked, I was saved at the time, but I wasn't necessarily I was putting other things before God, if that makes sense, including that relationship. And so
Yeah.
I think that's another reason he had to kind of break ties is because I was um just putting too much energy and focus into a person in a relationship versus my relationship with God, which is the most important relationship we can have.
Mhm.
And um it took all that to happen to really bring me back closer to God, to be honest.
That's
Um,
so good.
and to really like find myself again and even more about myself that I didn't even really know before, and just certain things that I needed to address and deal with and heal within me and my own life. So
Yeah, that
everything
is
happens for a reason
good. It
until
sure does.
it works out for your good. And in the moment you don't feel that, but it's true. Like it needed to happen. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Did you have any scriptures that you kind of held on to during your healing process or your journey to heal?
It wasn't any one exact scripture, but I would say it was the serenity prayer was very, very helpful for me, just reminding myself, like, I can control everything, like, because this right here, like, I know I can't do it in my own strength. And then, serenity prayer says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I would just have to repeat that a lot to myself. And I journaled a lot and, prayed. There were some scriptures, I can't remember them right off, but that was really the
Yeah.
main that kind of kept me encouraged.
Mm-hmm. That's so
Mhm.
good. And this was good. It was good. It was good because I think that so many people don't know when to leave.
Mhm.
Because I think there is like, man, how long do I stick this out? Like, how long do I seek God to stay? Do I stay? Do I leave? And undergoing all of those cycles, repetitive cycles, and really having the strength to break it. Really, either having the strength to stay, because sometimes, it's like, no, stick that out, sis. Stick it out. Like it ain't that bad.
Like you doing too much. Relax.
But even in those relationships, on the flip side, when it is like bing, 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 it's time to go. It's like having the strength to like leave. So it's like, man, I'm glad that you did have community. Oh, I wanted to touch on that too. Like even having community during your healing process, like what did that do for you? What was the impact of your mom and your sister um helping you through this healing process? Because a lot of times I think people are, man, I feel alone. God ain't listening to me. God ain't here with me. I don't have anyone to talk to. People are judging me. A lot of times, friends and
Yeah.
family, they can be judgmental about these relationships. I knew he wasn't the one for you. I already knew this one gonna last and stuff like
Oh, nothing
that.
about him. Nothing about him.
Like I already knew, like all of those things, like people hear, and man, like I'm already going through it, y'all. Like chill. So how
Hallelujah.
so how important was it to have like solid people to stand beside you during this time?
It was very important. I just appreciated their listening ear and their patience because I was like, I know they about tired of me talking about this boy. Um, but it gave me a sense of like comfort and just to feel like I had like a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, because there was definitely some tears. And just, you know, if it helped me to move on, like, and my mom, she's a minister, so of course she was hitting me with the scriptures, always speaking over me and
That's
praying
so
for me,
good.
and that really, really helped. Like that's so important to have like spiritual people in your life to encourage you, to pick you up, to, tell you to even pray. Like you gotta even pray yourself out of it. Like everybody, even though they pray for you, sometimes it just takes you being intentional to do it for yourself. And so I would just encourage anybody that might be going through it, don't make excuses for the person. Don't feel like you gotta, stay in that cycle just because you're comfortable or just because, you know, that's the person you feel like is meant for you. Is that's not necessarily the case. And just, know your worth. Don't settle. Don't feel like you have to do things alone. It's always somebody that you can talk to. And if you don't feel like there's somebody you can talk to, you can talk to God, read scriptures, go to
Absolutely.
church,
Yes.
find an outlet, find something else to fill up that space in that time to really, heal and get back to yourself. And that's what I had to do, and then I've just been taking the time to focus on me, and it can be hard, it can be frustrating, and then you feel like, you're so alone, and I'll even say, like, even now, like, because I'm so much more intentional about, who I'm with now, I've literally have not been in a relationship since that past relationship. I've dated, here and there, but it's just like that's not what I'm looking for. So it just makes you more intentional about what you want, and you have to. I know people say like, "Oh, I got a list," but you literally sometimes have to pray to God like this is what I'm looking for in my spouse because
Yeah.
now I'm dating with intention. I'm dating to marry and I want the foundation of my relationship to be of God and I'm not,
Mhm.
you know, we might entertain stuff here and there, but sometimes that's not even worth it, just really be intentional and take the time for yourself to heal. So,
Yeah, because it's like, what's the goal? Like, am I just out here playing willy-nilly,
that's what
or
it
do I
is.
really want like a marriage, like
Mhm.
a courtship to where is this leading to? So I
Yep.
love that being intentional and knowing the goal. Like there has to be a goal. Like, do I
Like,
just
where
want
is
to have
the
fun
right
or what?
definitely dating? Oh, and I will say through the entire process, even though it didn't feel good, it was for my good. And I would say that God gave me clarity. He gave me peace. I was able to find myself and I found my voice. And I just learned to look within. That was really my main thing. Just, it can be easy to point the finger, point the blame, but learning to look within is where your true healing comes from and to look to God. So I would just share,
Hmm.
so just to, you know, have faith, be patient with yourself, show yourself grace, um, and just know that there's always a blessing in every lesson that we go through. We have to see it as lessons and not losses. And, even in our pain, that, God can turn that into purpose for us. You just never know, like, what you go through, how it may help or impact somebody else and even yourself. Um, and just always find ways to um, bring you joy and just find ways
Hmm.
and better opportunities to grow, and not allow that certain situation or that person or whatever to define you. Um, because it's always hope. And so, um, that would really be my words of encouragement. That's what I wanted to share.
That is so, so good. So good. A lot to take from that. Like I can go on in this conversation, but we gonna try to wrap it up. I know that, and I'm gonna put this out there. I can edit it if you want me to, but I know that you recently caught a bouquet. So it's like he on the way, sis.
He got to be on the way. I'm like, Lord, I've been waiting, I've been patient. And that's something I always say too, like, Lord, let me like prepare me for my husband and prepare my husband for me. Like I want to be just much as of the person for him as he is of the person for me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna share these little gems of what I asked for when I've been praying. I pray and I say, God, well, I want him to have a relationship with you. I want him to love you and to love himself. I want him to be stable. And not only in just like a physical sense, with like security and money or whatever, but just mentally, emotionally, spiritually, stable, as well as financially. And
Absolutely.
let him just have a good heart. Let him be, a loving, kind person, a funny person, somebody that's well respected, somebody, who cares for his family, cares for people, treats people right and that's a protector, a provider, and just somebody that I could build and grow with, and somebody that will love me for me,
Yeah.
and that will truly be my friend. Like we help each other grow. Like where I may be weak in an area, he may be strong in an area, and vice versa. Like we just balance each other out, and just having a loving, stable, healthy relationship. That is
Oh,
that's what I asked for when I prayed. 'Cause
absolutely.
I've been so intentional, but I think sometimes I'll put it out there, but I won't. Sometimes I have to just go back and revisit it because you just get caught up day to day, and you're like, oh Lord, I know you're on the way, but it's just something you really do have to keep trusting and praying and believing God for, and just saying like God, well, even in my waiting season. You know, I've heard this too, like just even though you're not committed to somebody physically in a relationship right now, just be committed to your relationship with God. And
Yeah.
that will help you as well. Like everything starts with God. So
Yeah.
um, just being encouraged and being patient and faithful. And I know he coming, but God is just gonna send him when he ready, when he ready for us to be together. And I'm like, Lord, we gonna have to you just gonna have to bring us together because I know people always say like, well, you gotta get out there. And it's like, where am I going? Like, I don't know. Where am I supposed to like I be places.
You do be places, Sade. Don't act like you don't be places now. You ain't in no club drop like a high now that I know of, but you be places. You be out, sis.
I'm just saying like that's so I feel like that's such a cliche. People be like, well, you gotta get out there, you gotta put yourself out there. Like I'm not the one to be I don't shame anybody for it, but I just know preferably they're not for me. Like online dating, I'm like, Lord, we gotta meet in person. Like you just gonna have to bring us together.
Look, I'm gonna be honest and open. I just deleted my dating app like a couple weeks ago. A
Really?
week ago, but I haven't opened it in months. I will say I haven't technically opened it in months
Mm-hmm.
outside of traveling. Like when I travel,
Yeah.
I do open it to see who in the area. But once
Hmm.
I got back
Same
home this
locations. Let's do it.
look, once I got back home this last time, delete. I should have been deleted that thing, child. So I'm with you on that now as of today. I don't think I'm gonna get back on the dating sites and
Oh, hey,
stuff
to each his
anymore.
own. That's what I said. I just know me personally.
And to
Mm-mm.
be honest, I ain't gonna say it. Okay, so what I was gonna say is it ain't really hitting on nothing, but it's like Angelica, you was out there, you ain't hitting on nothing. Like, yeah,
Right.
I am. I have a lot to offer
Mhm.
my husband, future husband, but
That's
it's
offer.
just like they say, get out there, try online dating, like I don't know. He
I
coming when
don't
he comes,
know. That's what I'm saying. The Lord is he's just gonna have to align our paths some type of way.
and it'll happen.
Same place, same time. Hey, who knows? We may have already met. We
You
just
just
don't
never
know.
know.
You just never know. That's why I'm like, Lord, I'm leaving it up to you. Cause I be when I try to shoot my shot and do this, that, and the third, and all this other stuff, it don't be working out. So I was like,
Yeah, just stay focused. That's
yeah,
what I've been doing. Just
yeah,
staying
and just
focused.
better myself because I want to be, you know, a better person for me and for, whoever God decides to place in my life. And that's in all my relationships. I want to make sure I'm showing up and, being the best version of myself that I can be. So it's
Yeah,
always self work to do. Always something to
absolutely.
grow, something to learn, something to be better at. So that is it for me. That'll do it.
Look, with that being said, if any men are watching this, how can they get in touch with you? No, I'm kidding.
I'm
But
29.
how can people in general reach out to you, social media or anything? How can they stay in touch?
On Instagram. I'm on when I'm on TikTok.
What's your handles?
Shoot a prayer up for me too. It's my first name, Sade. My middle name, Trenice.
Okay, they gon'
You
they
think
gonna hit you up.
they coming through?
They gonna come through. Or guys, you can email me and I give you her number. No, just kidding.
Listen, whatever works. Where there's a will, there's a way. If he's in an email, that takes determination,
Come on.
dedication. I even
Co-
respect the email versus a DM.
Can I be honest again? I did that before.
You email somebody.
I emailed somebody. This was years ago. This was
absolutely years ago. I have so many stories. I'm definitely going to
Whatever,
share them
where there's a
on
will,
here.
there's a way. Whatever you gotta do, what you gotta do sometimes. Like go out there, look on Google, especially if you know it at work. If they got a school, if they got a work email.
Oh my goodness. I need to have like a whole
We're not gonna go down. We're not doing none of that crazy stuff.
I'm
But I'm
telling
just
you.
saying, it's always if they want to, they will. I say that all the time.
They definitely will. They'll find a way.
You'll find a way to get to me. You'll find it. So
Well, thank you so much, Sade Moore. Thank you for being on the podcast. I'm so grateful. And I love you, sis. Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for
Oh, let's
being
do a heart.
obedient. I appreciate you for asking me to do this. I was like, but this was a blessing for me, and I just pray that you continue to follow God's lead, even with your podcast and what you're doing for others. I know it's going to bring a lot of healing and growth and change, and that it'll be whatever God wants it to be. So, shout out to Rays of Grace.
Thank
Did I say that?
you.
Morning Rays of Grace.
Morning Rays of
Morning
Grace.
Rays of Grace. Okay.
Yes. All
Love
right.
you.
I'll see you in about 5 minutes.
Right. Bye.
Bye, girl.
See y'all next week.